Hello everybody, thank you for joining us. Hope you're all having a wonderful day wherever you are. So good morning, good afternoon and good evening. These chats seems to be going global, thankfully. Spirit seems to be reaching around the world these days, more and more as each day goes on. So thank you for joining MCG, Menorca Consciousness Group, and we'd like to give a lovely warm welcome to our special guest this evening, Judith Millar, I believe from Ireland.
Yes. Yes.
So thank you for joining us, Judith.
Thank you for having me.
On this, and I really like the title of the topic, to be honest, the title, Modern Day Mediums and How Spirit Can Work With Us. So just before we go into it, Judith, I'd just like to ask if you would like to tell us a bit about yourself. I know you've got your spiritual medium, spiritual psychic, physical medium,
Yes.
end of life coach, or counsellor, if I've got it right. Let's have a look.
End of life
support, and you do mindfulness and life coaching, etc.
Yes.
So if you'd like to tell us a bit about yourself, thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I'm very grateful to be have the opportunity to come on. So I live in Ireland, and in Ireland there's not a lot. We're a small country in the sense of the spirituality side of things. We've got 2 churches, but I very much was always, as a child, I could hear and see spirit, but never understood. And nobody understood around me, and they used to say to me, she's got a vivid imagination. And so everybody used to just think I was just imagining these things. But as I went on, it was scary. I was quite scared as a child. I would have had nightmares and didn't understand. But as I got older, I always was drawn to angels. I was always drawn to angels. And my mum brought us up on her own, and she didn't have childminders or anything. So her social life was her church. It was always her church. So we grew up through the church. And as a teenager then, of course, I was rebelling. I didn't want to be, I had other things I wanted to do, didn't want to be going and sitting in church. So I pushed away from it, but I always knew what was going to happen. I couldn't explain it, but I always had the answers in a sense. And I was always kept being drawn back. But when I became a mum, I realized that the same traits was happening with our daughters. So I realized that it was important that I was open and transparent with them, because then they could understand what I couldn't. So going forward, Spirit took me under their wing. They very much, I say they're like my best friends. I just have a fantastic relationship, and I learned to build that relationship really strong with them, and never thought I was ever going to do a physical. Thought it was evidential, never expected the physical, but it just happened. And then Spirit taught me in a way that I work like this in the light, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world. When the physical, you could call it physical phenomena, you could call it physical interactions, but it's happening to you. So say if it was you, Colin, you would be experiencing it firsthand, exactly where you are, not me.
Yeah.
It would be, so they might want to hold your hand, they might want to lift your arm up, they might want to hug, they might want to push an object off your hand. So every time Spirit taught me something with the physical, they taught me it live. They always did it live, and at first I couldn't understand why, and then I realized that it didn't matter if I didn't get it the first time. The fact that they've told me I can do it and work with them in that way, I knew it was only, I just need to keep working and practicing it.
Yeah.
So again, it helped continue to build that trust. So I'm really passionate about my spiritual journey, and a lot of my past I now put into, I came from quite an abusive marriage in the past, quite a hard time, but I use that going forward because I know we can help. And I find personally we can help people spiritually so much quicker than all this logic diagrams and life coaching. And so everything I do is very much spiritual. And I'm very particular. Spirit said I had to stay humble and grounded. And I'm very particular about the wordings that I use. So spiritual surgery sounded right for me.
Yeah.
And I believe and I understand we have a team, and we're all a team, and we can't do anything without our team. So which is why I call myself an end of life support guide, because I'm doing the same as what my team was guiding me, only on the earthly plane.
Amazing.
So,
amazing. What a journey. It's interesting, isn't it? Because everybody's got the story to tell. Everybody's got that. There's all the various aspects of these kind of facets of experiences, what get us to where we are in spiritualism, in whatever area of spiritual. I mean, and then when I say spiritualism, I use it in a very, very broad sense. I don't contain it just to spiritual churches. I mean, any forms of what's called alternative therapist, channeling, cosmic beings, spiritual beings, etc. It's a broad expanse for me, and I find it fascinating and intriguing, listening to people's own unique experiences, what's gone on to this point on their path, if there is a path, if it is a journey. We're at that point now. It's like, are we on a path, or is everything just happening in the now? So thank you so much for sharing it. So just if I may, Judith, making reference to your physical, I want to say physical phenomena, but the physical aspects of mediumship, how is that evolving today at this moment? Because my background is obviously I've been sitting in a physical phenomena circle previously. And I'm curious because I get the feeling at the moment there's this surge in trance channeling, and physical phenomena seems to be coming back. Is there aspects of trance involved in that for you at the minute? Because there's an aspect to psychic surgery as well, isn't there?
yes.
Yeah. If you can tell us something about that.
So the voice with me is still, I'm still very much learning and developing. We're always learning and developing. But Spirit, my guides always said to me, we want to work with you in the way that we can work with you and your body.
Right.
But also because they explain that they learn the same as we learn. They're still learning. So they work with us and we work with them. So they said to me, they've learned a lot from, going back to the 1800s. They've learned a lot. And it's mostly more people are learning to be aligned.
Yeah.
We're all starting to be more aware and ally rather than control. And Spirit used to say to me, that was their take on it, was spiritualism was controlled.
Yeah.
I had a level of control always. Spirituality is freedom.
Yeah.
And they said to me, we only use like 5%, like 5% of our abilities, because we stop ourselves.
Yeah.
And the more we can allow, the more that they can really go through it. Trance, I automatic write. I journal. I love journaling, and I do a lot of automatic writing. When they start coming through and speaking through me, I know what's happening. I'm fully aware of it. I'm fully awake. It's just my voice changes. You'll start to see a slight change in my persona.
Yeah.
But my voice will change and then they'll go again. But I'm fully aware it's happened. I'm just not fully aware of what they've said.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Because I noticed this when you was on with Stephen Rowlands. I really enjoyed that chat, what with that interaction, what was going on.
Yeah.
What fascinated me, and it was like it was there in a split second, is there was a moment when you shifted, your energy shifted, and you could clearly see the difference between Judith, as in Judith, physical Judith, let's say, and Judith, open and spirit coming in, you know, and speaking. And it was kind of like, when I was watching it, I was laughing because I was sitting on my own, just watching and listening to it. And it was kind of like, no, keep going, Judith. This is looking quite, you know. And I know different circumstances you can do it, and other circumstances you can't. But it was so, I just don't want to say nice because it doesn't do it justice. It was quite beautiful to watch how quick that shift took place, and the way the vibration altered within and around you, and how then Judith was kind of used as that vessel, that channel, if you like. It's interesting how I like that word you've just used, allow. It's allowing, because this is the issue, isn't it? The same as mediumship, healing, trance, whatever it is, that sense of control we have, born out of that survival instinct, amongst other things. We're not going to relinquish that control unless we're comfortable, and in that is unless we allow it. And I think the same. I think what we're seeing and witnessing is more and more people are now allowing it to take place. They're allowing their guides to come in stronger and closer, etc., etc. But I just wanted to, I think we can say hello to everybody, if that's all right, for a minute, Judith.
Yes, I see quite a few people as well.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. So quickly, hi, Ava. Thank you for joining us. To Francis and Stacey. Hi, Chanda. Jean Spears, thanks for joining us, Jean. Chanda's given us a question. We'll come to that in a few minutes, if that's all right, Chanda. I did spot it.
Hey, Margaret.
To Kelly and Margaret, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, totally agree, Kelly. Everyone is different, but it's such a lovely thing. That guides me, that one, the beauty of diversity, with the way we all work. And I mean, it was a bit of a strong point for me, because I think we should be, no, not that we should, it's not for me to say we should. I love it when spirit are in with all of us, and we're encouraging each other and accepting that beauty of how somebody works, and looking at somebody else and the beauty of how they work, and so on and so on. I absolutely love it, and I think we're here to encourage each other, not the opposite. So amazing stuff. But if I may, Judith, I wanted to pick up on that Victorian point, going what you mentioned about the Victorian age.
Yeah, when Spirit started teaching me the physical and how to work with them in the physical sense, I really did struggle, if I'm being honest. I struggled to find where I fitted in.
Yeah.
And I very much felt I didn't fit in. And it kind of knocked my confidence a little bit, because I would sit and I talk to my guides, if I'm like, I would say to them, why are you teaching me this when nobody's getting this? And I have this full conversation with them, and they said to me, Judith, you're not meant to fit in. We're showing you the way it can be done for you to show others, so it stands out. And then, so I really kind of understood that, and I knew I was going for an interview, and I just knew, and I said to my guides, is there anything you need to explain to me before I go to this interview as to how I work the way I do? Because something tells me there's a reason. And they took me back to the Victorian times. And spiritualism was very big in the Victorian times, but it was controlled.
Yeah.
It wasn't allowed. There's lots of different famous, amazing mediums, and you know, like Helen Duncan was one, and she was real. She was real. She would have gave Winston Churchill readings and everything, you know. But the physical side of it was harder because they didn't allow spirit to work with them. They were trying to, and it's not that spirit said they were doing anything wrong. We were learning.
Yeah.
We were trying different things. And back then we were trying lots of different things to try and bring this out, to show this, you know. And Leslie Flint was a big name, and he did the direct voice, but he did it in the dark. So I understand why spirit wants to do it in the light, so people can see, like what you said about the change, so people can see.
Yeah. And
you know, the biggest medium that I could actually recommend people to sit down and listen and do, you can look at some of her memoirs. Her story is Estelle Roberts.
Yeah.
Estelle Roberts Aloud.
Yeah.
She sat for 6 months. She was told she could do what we do, and she was like, I can't do that. It's a lot of nonsense. Can't do that. Then her husband became ill, couldn't earn any money. She needed to try and look after the family. So when you read Estelle Roberts' story, she said, right, okay. She went in and she sat down and she sat at the chair and the table, and she says, okay, if I can do this, move that chair. So she waited, and she said she sat there for hours, never happened. Every single day without fail, she didn't give up. She came back, she sat at the table with the chair, and every single day she said, if I can do this and you can work with me, please move the chair. And this went on for 6 months. And in the end, after 6 months, she thought, well, maybe I can't do this. And the chair lifted. So then she realized, I can. And I think a lot of it is understanding that it's not a quick journey. It's a forever journey.
Yes.
And to be patient, you know, be patient, because, and never compare ourselves to other people's journeys, because that's their journey. You know, our journey will always take its sweet twists and turns in its own way. But spirit will work with each one of us in the best way they can. We just have to allow. Just trust and allow.
Totally agree. Totally. And the comparison bit. It's a big thing in it, because we get trapped, we get stuck in that mindset, or we can, especially at the beginning of the journey, where we look at others and we think they're doing so well, they're racing ahead, they've got this ability, that ability, and we stand there and comparison kicks in. It's like, oh, I'd like to do what they're doing. I'd like to be as good as them, etc. And that's what we're basing ourselves on. And I think it's a very relevant point. We've got to, well, it'd be nice if the word comparison was out of the dictionary, because then it wouldn't exist anymore. Because when we're comparing ourselves to others, we're almost belittling our own ability and ourselves. And we know it's a journey of unfoldment, you know, and that can be the case for a lot of people, where they're comparing, you know, I'd like to be like this, like to be that, and it's like, forget it, just leave it, just leave that word alone completely. And it makes the journey so much more smoother. Just quickly coming back, if I may, to because I was around when Leslie Flint was doing the magic, let's call the magic, and the Skull group was on the go at that point, where there was a lot of physical phenomena, and there was the Skull group got inspired to create a dome in the middle of their space, and spirit, I understand spirit was inspiring them to create pure energy inside the dome. Now, they said they had some fantastic results, and it was still ongoing. I then didn't hear any more from the Skull group. It just for those who don't know, Skull group was set up specifically for physical phenomena. And they'd had, and it was in Norfolk in the UK, and they was getting some fantastic results with physical phenomena, etc. And then spirit was guiding them to that next kind of frequency and said, okay, we're going to try and produce pure energy. And that fascinated me. What came of it in the end, I don't know, because I had lost kind of contact. They were putting out regular newsletters, etc. So I was keeping up with that. What I'm enjoying at the moment is, because I never think it's a resurgence. I think what's happened is simple evolution from 100 years, 200, 500, 1,000, etc. So on. That humanity as a whole has just gradually been unfolding, opening up and expanding to its next stage of evolution. And I think we're at this crucial point at this minute where we've seen, or definitely have been, kind of watching and being made to observe and see what's going on, globally and spiritually speaking. But spiritually speaking, in the spiritual space, this, what we call the awakening, this explosion of awakening. And I get the impression that virtually every soul what's incarnated on the planet and got to this point in the last 5 and 10 years, even down to the last couple of years, have brought so much knowledge and ability with them in this period of time now. So we're seeing that big influx of more people getting involved in psychic aspects, psychic affairs, doing readings, cards, learning healing, or etc., etc. And now recently, especially in the last, I would say in the last 12 months, 2 years maybe, but definitely in the last 12 months, them 3 factors are starting to stand out above most others. Mediumship is carrying on, healing is carrying on, but trance, channeling, and physical phenomena seem to be really coming up, not just to the surface, it's like becoming very prominent, if you like. I mean, I'm noticing where this channel, this mix between trance and channeling, there's an overlap now, whereas previously there wasn't, but we can see it clearly is now. And it's wonderful to see. I absolutely love it. It's like, I just wish all the spiritual churches and all the spiritual centers just open the doors properly and embrace this influx of channels, these people what are doing channeling. Okay, it's not mediumship in the form of giving messages, but it's certainly to do with a new form of communication, if you like, which then brings us back to the title, modern day medium. How do we find, how can we define a modern day medium now?
Well, I agree with what you're saying. It's definitely an evolution. Yeah. And spirit are evolving as we are evolving. But I've noticed, like when I was talking to Stephen, spirit felt the need to come forward, and I just, they jump in and jump out, but I've learned to just allow. But at the same time, I've noticed if I'm doing church services or private readings, spirit will come forward and take over that reading. I don't mean take over it in a bad way, but they have specific messages for the person that they're connecting to. One of the last church services I did, there was several loved ones came forward and spoke to different people. So they did get involved in the mediumship side of things. They did get involved in the messages, and it was really nice that they did. But it's something that is going to progress, I believe, because I always say to anybody I've ever helped mentor, your journey is always your journey. It should always be your journey, and you should always trust that sat nav. If something does, even if I don't feel right, walk away, because that's your spirit team guiding you. But at the same time, spirit we're a team. It's not about, it can't be about the medium. It can't be all about, like the medium, because I can't do what I do if it wasn't for the team I had around me. So we should all, for me, it's all about the team. It's all about the teamwork.
It's collective. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's collective. It's not going to work. It's not, none of us, I mean, I'm quite big on this, to be honest, Judith, because I've got, I have a certain reverence for spirit, very much so.
Yeah.
I know, and I believe, I know what my own personal experience is, but I also believe so many others on their journey would not probably be on the planet without spirit. Spirit have really protected and guided, you know, most of us, if not all of us. So when it comes to opening up to spirit and the spiritual path and journey, I have the utmost respect for them. I mean, and especially, it doesn't matter what, if we say levels, but what frequency or vibration of those planes they come from, it's spontaneous respect from my side for them. And so we're literally without, and again, we don't need to bring ourselves down and think we're not, you know, there's no meaning to us regarding the messages. But it is like you've just said, it's like equal, you know. We've got spirit with the channel, and we've got the recipient, you know, and that level and vibration of respect has got to be, for me, has got to be constant, because they've helped us in so many ways on so many levels, most of which we probably can't even imagine or definitely not aware of at the minute, because if we know we're multidimensional beings, then they've been helping us on multidimensional frequencies, which we're not conscious of in a human capacity. You know, so I'm always cautious, like saying, well, I am such and such. It's like we've got to have that sense of humbleness and humility, and yet still have the confidence to be used as best we can, with the purest or with the deepest wisdom. And I love the fact this, just allowing them, just let them come through. If they're ready to step in, it's like, let them step in. Doesn't matter where you are. They know what they're doing. You know, they've got this phenomenal expanse of consciousness and awareness. They can see things, obviously, you know this, we know this. They can see so many different aspects what we're not aware of in any given circumstance. And they're going, come on, we just want to come through and speak. And we go, oh no, I'm not doing that. I closed down at this time, you know. And spirit going, but if only you could see what we see and the need for you to be open in this precise moment, you won't be looking at your clock and going, no, I'm not doing it. It would be, I just need to allow it because it's present. So interesting stuff. Very.
My take on it, I always say to everybody, you know, we want to learn. We're hungry for the knowledge. We love what we do. So we're really hungry for the knowledge and we want to evolve. We want to learn. But we have to remember that we're not on this journey alone. Spirit are learning, spirit are evolving, and we can't just run on ahead and say, catch you later. We have to work as a team, and we have to allow them the ability to learn and evolve the same as what they're helping us learn and evolve. Yeah,
totally agree. Can we just like to, but I don't want to forget. Hi, Trish. Just want to say hello to Trish and to Lynn. Hi, Lynn. Thanks for joining us. Lovely to have you here. Chanda. Oh, shall we see if we can tackle this? Thank you, Ava. What is the difference between a trance and a physical medium? Your thoughts on that, Judith?
So, for me, trance is taken when we go into a trance state. We're stepping back. We're allowing spirit to come forward. Trance is also to do with the healing with spirit, blending with spirit. You know, we very much can do like automatic writing as a form of trance, and our healing. So with the physical, very much, although I'm doing like spirit are teach me with the direct voice and they like to join in, but they don't make me go into trance. They don't make me go into a different state of awareness. They just work with me the way I am, you know. So there's different levels of trance, and the physical, you know, is the materialization, and you can do materialization in the light. When we were actually talking on Colin on Stevens, spirit were on, you could see them on my throat. My guide, he was materializing on my throat. His whole face is, you could see, and he's here. I can actually see him on my throat now, because he was trying to come forward earlier there, and then he stepped back.
Well, he's more than welcome to come forward when he wants.
Yeah, I already said that too. But there's different levels, and we should never gauge ourselves on, oh, I want to get to this level, because spirit will always know what's best for us, how they can work with us, and what strengths and what our weaknesses is. They know us better than we know ourselves. So, everybody's versions is slightly different. If you ask different mediums, we all have slightly a different version of it. But for me, the trance state, I don't go into.
Yeah.
Not like the older style of trance and where I don't use red lights, I don't use a box, I don't use anything. I just work with spirit in this way. So it's very much 2-in-1. Spirit want us to know we can all work with them. 2-in-1. We are. It's not about working in a different way. It's about, like you said, we're evolving, Colin. The energies, the world's changing, or how we, mankind's changing, and the energies is changing. So they're becoming finer and finer till we are just merging. We are merging, and we work in 2-in-1.
Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. That merging, I think we can almost title the event. I think often when I think of this event, what's taking place, one of the titles comes out is merging. There's a convergence, we know this, and we're merging to the point. It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's clear that the more we let go of the conditions we're holding on to or carrying, the more we merge with spirit. So it's telling us the more we can empty ourselves, the more we're going to be, let's say, entranced, unified with those beings of light, and be speaking from that frequency. I wanted to ask you a question, Judith, if Judith is all right, regarding the trance. What you've just said about, because I agree with the different states of trance. Do you, when you're in an altered state, and I'm saying it loosely, I'm making it, because we struggle for terms sometimes, don't we? So let's say Judith is in an altered state and spirits come in, you've allowed spirits to come in. Is there a point where your mind is out of the proceeding, so to speak, and you're not aware of what's been spoken? Or does it vary? Are you in and out sometimes? Are you closer to your being conscious to everything? Because I just want to, how does it work when you're in that state?
So do you know when you're doing a mediumship reading, when you finish that reading, you don't have a recollection of what you've passed. That message, I don't. I have no recollection of anything I give in a reading. Completely. You could come to me afterwards and I'll say to you, I don't know what I told you. I don't know. I never have, and that's the way it's always been. When spirit come forward and when they speak, I am fully aware that they're coming forward. I can hear their voice. I can hear them talking. I can feel the way my throat goes with it's like a tightness, and I can feel that. But I'm not always entirely sure what they've said. I don't always remember the message that they've passed. My eyes will go a wee bit glazed, but I'm fully aware still, if that makes sense. I'm still fully aware. I can see you. I can see, your reaction. I can see what's happening. I just don't always remember the message.
Interesting. Because I like to ask people about their unique personal experience of where their awareness or consciousness is during that altered state. Whether it's from mediumship or all the way down to across to deep trance, so to speak. Because I think what happens, at my understanding from the experience, obviously, I mean, just quickly before we go on to that one, you mentioned about trance, like previous trance. My understanding of the way trance used to work, when somebody said I'm a trance medium,
their guide would speak.
Yeah, they've gone. That mind, that individual, they've stepped back. Spirit's got them. They took them to a beautiful realm somewhere, and spirits come in, and they're speaking through the vessel, pure, and it can't be interrupted. The medium's mind is not, interrupting it, etc. Not even aware. And they come back and they go, I haven't got a clue what I said. That for me is, when we're talking in trance, I have to say that one for me is correct. And I'm cautious when I say the word correct, is true deep trance. What I'm enjoying at the moment is, even though people are going, there's a lot of people saying I'm trance medium out there, and the word is now getting used a bit too looser than what it used to be. The meaning behind it previously was, this is trance, that mind is not in. What we're seeing in this evolution, people are saying I'm in trance. So then I get intrigued and go, okay, whereabouts is your mind when you're in that? And I don't say trance, it'll be in that altered state, where is your mind? And it's really nice to ask you the question and get your experience on it, because I think it's beneficial for people to hear these things. I think it's actually important, and because I get this thing, it's like you can go into an altered state and spirits coming in, and yet I'm observing the words, I can hear the words, I'm still conscious of such and such, and in that beautiful frequency of wherever our mind is, and then come back out and go, well, actually, I can't remember that. I heard it when I was in there, but I can't remember it now I'm back.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff. And I think there's an overlap now between trance and channeling. I think there's a convergence going on. So it's interesting I want to, if I may, Judith, I'd like to put this subject and this kind of area of thinking into what the title is, to modern mediumship. What do you think? Where do you think this is all blending? Where do you think it's where is it at the minute in your mind, as from a viewpoint of your experience, and where do you think it may be going? What we're looking at going forward from it? If you've got any thoughts on it.
Well, I do ask Spirit, and Spirit very much said that there's lots going to change. Even with me, there's lots going to change. And they very much want to work with, I used to say if I could tell a short story, there used to be a really good I don't know if he's still practicing, but he'd been on the platform for a long time, trance medium.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
And every time he used to come in, we would do chats, like questions and answers and different chats. And every time he came in, his guide came forward to speak to me. And everybody used to go, he's always talking to you. He always talks to you. And I was only evidential at that. I was still evidential. And I used to joke and go, he likes me, and I always was that joker. And I like a laugh and a giggle, and life shouldn't be serious. Yeah. But I learned a lot just from him coming forward to me was, because I used to say to my spirit team, right, okay, what are you going to teach me? And they used to say to me, walk, don't run, walk, don't run. And I don't know anybody that hasn't tried to run. We all have it. We all love it. We all do. But Spirit used to say to me, you're not ready. You're not ready. And so I used to say, right, okay. And there's work they have to do with us. They have to get us to a certain level. But the biggest thing that they have taught me is the trust. We think we're not controlling our journeys, but we are. The trust, anytime, if I do any workshops or if I'm doing anything, I call it the trust fall. And I will always say to people, it's not about running forward. It's not about being able to do this and being able to do that. The most important thing that I can recommend is to understand and get to know the team around you by name. What did they do? How did they work with you in other lives? Was their connection to you? What are they helping you with in this life? And when you could, I always say, they used to laugh at me because I used to say, you want to be the nosy neighbour over the fence. What did you have for breakfast, lunch and dinner? And question. And when I used to ask the trance medium, why does your guide always come forward and chat to me? He always comes forward and has a message. And he says, because you're a doubting Thomas, you have to ask those questions.
Yeah.
You want to know everything. And he says, and that's what it's about. Spirit want you to ask those questions. They want to help you understand. And so I learned from that. And I very much was that nosy neighbour over the hedge. But I know all my guides. I know all the ones that's coming in, all the ones that goes out. And I used to say to them all the time, I trust you. It's just me. I don't trust myself, but I trust you. And they laughed and they said, Judith, you don't. Because if you trusted us, then you have to trust yourself because we're passing the message. So if you don't trust yourself, that shows that you don't 100% trust.
Correct.
So it's overcoming that fear. You know, we have this built-in thing built into us that we need to know what's ahead. We need to know where our path is going. We need to know what we can do, rather than just going, okay, guys, what's happening today? I've worked with my guides. I've built it took a long time just to build that relationship with them. So now I don't need boundaries. I don't need to do all this different stuff. They're there. Our spirit teams are around us all the time.
Yeah.
But they don't intrude, and they don't take away my privacy, and they don't intrude. But we have this relationship where if they want to come forward, they come forward. If they don't, they don't. You know, I seen me out in a car, and we were actually our friends, and my guides come forward and said, we were just visiting, and they come forward and they went, Judith, be careful, there's a crash. And I was like, are you telling me I'm going to crash? And they said, no. Then they stood back, and I was like, okay. So I was driving the whole way up. We were about an hour away from where we lived, and I was driving, and my partner kept saying to me, why are you driving like this? And I was like, what? And he went, why are you driving so slow? And I was like, oh, sure, we're not in any hurry, you know, we're not.
I'm just having a moment.
Yes, I didn't want to say. And I thought, because I don't really know what's ahead with this crash. Yeah. So I just dillied and dallied. And when we got up ahead, the motorway, one of them was closed. And I was like, oh, that's okay. So, and he went, oh, so now you're moving. And I went, yeah, but the crash isn't us. So, but they will come in, and they will, but we see when you take the time to really get to know your guides, it's a completely different level.
Yeah. It is.
You know, you talked about trust, you talked about respect, and I think we should give that. You know, I'm very much on par with that with you.
Yeah, very much. I love the fact that you brought trust up, Judith, because I think even though I play around, because I've got a terrible sense of humour when I'm, you know, if we're doing classes and courses. You know what we're like. One minute I can be the most serious, direct, focused mind, and the next minute they've just tripped me somewhere, and you know they'll just drop a one line and crack the energy wide open, which I absolutely love. And one of the things I often say to people, forget trust, don't even think about it, forget it. Because so many people thinking, well, I know I've got to trust, and it's like they're creating an obstacle mentally in the mind. And yet here we are on the other side saying, but it's important to trust. Because on the other side, it actually is important to trust. And I totally agree. And I think it's a very relevant point that we you know, not just with communicating with spirit, but across the board. Whatever area we are working in, whether it's in our own personal life, in connection, in conjunction with spirit, or in all the other areas what matter on this spiritual path. And I think that's encouraging and inspiring for some people to hear that if they just breathe and take a moment and just go, okay, I'm going to trust spirit. Mm-hmm. And that can take them to that next step, and that next step can be life-changing for us. You know, just that one thought and that one move. So I'm really pleased that just that one aspect, and we can open the trust aspect up, can't we? Because it's so broad.
Yeah.
You know, it's like going into learning, develop. You know, like, well, let's start with healing. Okay, well, you know, because humanity is great at bringing itself down. I can't do this. Yeah. I can't do this because of the different circumstances since we landed on the planet, mentally, energetically, emotionally, without opening that one up. The low self-esteem, the lack of confidence, you know, feeling the comparison. Well, they're brilliant. I can't be the same as them. I mean, it's like, well, they're not brilliant, and we're all equal. You know, as
that's the thing, we're all equal.
Yeah, and it's like in that is the trust and the confidence will just naturally ripen and go, okay, I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna allow spirit. And then it becomes a beautiful dance, doesn't it? It's like a magical dance the whole time. And then they'll turn around and they'll say, you drive and look, don't go straight on, turn right here.
Yeah. And you know, they are always, say testing, it's not that they're testing us, but they do push your boundaries, and very much so. You know, when we talk about the trust and the allowing control, for example, when I'm doing a mediumship read, if I'm doing a live or I'm doing a church service or I'm doing mediumship readings or whatever I'm doing, I will never say, right, guys, I want to do this. Let's do this. I've never done that ever. I will only ever do the physical when each loved one asks. And I'll always say to them, what is it you want to do? You know, and I always say, I'll wait for them to come in and they'll say to me, right, we want to do this. And, you know, there's time I've seen them put me on the spot and me going, I don't know what you want me to do with it. And I'm having this full conversation with them and I'm live and I'm like, and I can remember there was a girl in America and a balloon, and they said to me, everybody on the live was going, oh, you're going to burst a balloon? Oh my, you're going to, and I was like, I really don't know what I'm going to do. And my stomach was churning and I was like, I really don't know. And I was just like, guys, please bear with me. And I was working about and doing things for ages. And then I thought, here, listen, no, I need to work with you more. Show me, tell me. And I listened to what they were showing and then I did what they were showing me to do. And next thing, the balloon just burst. And when I realized, okay, these are my teachers. These are the people that my team is the ones that are actually going to show me. They're making me do things. They're not making me do things live. That's the wrong terminology.
Yeah, inspiring.
They put me on the spot. I'll put it that way. But they put me on the spot. But it's really, am I trusting them? And when I can't do it the first time, do I feel I've failed myself? Am I more concerned about what everybody else thinks? Or what am I learning from that? And I had to learn that. So now I understand that, okay, I might not get it the first time. If it's something different, I might not get it. I remember they did the water trick and I was like, what's the water trick? And they said, look, and I can remember, I never forget the first time I did it. It never fails to blow me away. They never fail to cease to amaze me, spirit. And the water trip, there was this young man and he'd never had a reading before. And he decided he wanted this reading for the first time. And like, he was on the fence. He wasn't like, I don't know, you know, that kind of way. Yeah. And I can remember that part, and it was a grandmother that came forward, and I can't remember the reading, but she said about the Mars bar just ate, and he was like, I lifted the paper up, and then she says about, you know, the girlfriend eating something, and she just lifted the paper up, and then she said to me, want to do the water trick? And I was like, what's the water trick? And she says, tell him to make sure the taps, he's in the kitchen. And I said to him, are you in your kitchen? And he went, yes. And I went, okay, your grandmother wants you to make sure both taps is turned off. And he went, why? And I went, listen, I don't know yet, just go with it. And so I was like, it's the water trick apparently. So
no question, you just go do it.
Yeah, so he turned both the taps off, and he was looking, and I says, okay, hold on now. And so I talk to them like I talk to you. I just love that communication and that banter. And I'll say to them, okay, so what are we doing now? Okay. And she said, tell him to not put his hand, not to touch it, and to just watch the left tap. And I was like, you have to watch the left tap, but you're not allowed to touch it. And he was like, right. And she was saying to me to help channel, so I was helping channel, and the next thing I could see, in my mind's eye, I can see what she's showing me, what she's doing. It's the same with the surgery. I can feel, I can see, and I could see the water starting to form. And he went, whoa. And I says, what are you seeing? And he went, there's a big drip of water starting to, it's just this massive big drip, but it won't drop. And he says, it's just getting bigger and bigger. And I was like, we have to wait till she tells you, because she's going to give you the instructions. And then she says to me, okay, tell him to put his left hand underneath at the bottom, you know, not to touch it, but to put his left hand underneath. And she says, wait till you see the power of love he feels when the water hits his hand. So I said to him, could you just put your hand below the tap, but don't touch anything? And she will control the water. And he was like, okay. And so he put his hand under the tap, and it's a 10 tap. So he put his hand under the tap, and he just kept it there. And he was like, and it got bigger and bigger. And next thing I said, she's going to drop it. And next thing it just dropped, and he went, and it just blew me away. And he went, I've never experienced, and he felt that surge of love just go right through him. But she controlled that whole process for him, which is beautiful. It's really beautiful to see the healing that brings.
What a beautiful story.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing, isn't it? Just if we may, Judith, I just want to again say thank you to everybody for joining us. Chanda, thanks for your question, Chanda, by the way. I was thinking a physical medium that use the physical body for healing, etc. But it's completely different. Thank you. Physical medium. Okay. I think she's talking about
hands-on healing.
I think she's more making reference to trance healing. Maybe I could be wrong.
See, I do hands-on healing, and I do different types of healing. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can, thanks, Lynn. Me too. Yeah, if you can, Chanda, just tell us a bit more what you're thinking, because if you're referring to the physical body healing, as in psychic healing, or whether the physical body used as a channel and vessel for spirit and spiritual healing, or whether you're referring to trance healing. Because obviously there's different ones and different variations, like Judith said. Yeah. So, hi Pauline, lovely to see Pauline. I create calm. That's Pauline. I'm pleased you're in, Pauline, because you're on the notices. Pauline takes our daily meditations every day at 5 o'clock, from 5 till 5:30 during the weekdays. Thank you so much, Pauline. Everybody's welcome if anybody wants to jump on between from Monday to Friday. Just a question, if I may, another one, opening it up a bit more. Where do you think mediumship is today then, Judith, regarding I don't want to say the standard of mediumship, because it is what it is as far as I'm concerned, and everybody's got an opinion on it. I feel more broader speaking, because we're seeing so many people, you know, getting into mediumship these days. What's your thoughts on that? Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you.
Oh, go on, please do.
I very much feel that the way Spirit is guiding me, and I can only speak for how Spirit is guiding me and what they're showing me and they talk about, is that, you know, we just have to know they're there. Build that connection with them. We don't need to do all this palaver. You know, we have a full chakra system, and this is another thing that I'm very big about. You know, going back to the older, you know, training of mediumship, and there's nothing wrong with, there's no right or no wrong with anybody, but going back into the older style of training, we never really use them chakras the way we should. You know, and we have those internal power banks within us, you know, and we would have went and sat with Spirit, go and sit with Spirit, you know, but we were really, when you look at it, we're really saying to Spirit, right, we want this, we want that, you need to bring us a power, we need to do that, without specifically saying it. We're taking, but we're not putting any work in. And Spirit said to me, you know, our bodies is really important, and our chakra system is really important, because of everything is consciousness, or organs, everything within our body is consciousness, you know, how we talk to our body and how we look after the energy within. So we don't always have to go and sit with Spirit. We can charge those internal batteries, and we have that power within. In the years gone by, we felt we needed, it had to be Spirit that gave us it all, when really we are Spirit. And Spirit want us to remember that. We are Spirit, and we don't need to go and sit with Spirit, because we're already sitting with Spirit. We're already with Spirit. We just need to charge up those batteries and recharge our own Spirit, recharge our own energy. And we are already merged with Spirit. So I feel going forward, Spirit are trying to bring that awareness to people, to say, you know, remember you are Spirit. Remember you are us, just in that physical body. You don't need to do all this different thing. If you need us, we're there. Learn to communicate, learn to interact with us, and learn to work with us. But it's they very much want to show that they're there 24/7. You know, somebody said to me once, that's not right what you're saying, and we all have views, which is 100% everybody's views, because they said to me, you have to be in a state of heightened awareness at all times. And I said, I'm not. Like, I go and I do my housework, I go and do whatever. I've got my grandkids and my partner, and I very much have a physical life and live a normal life. But I know that if I need them, I just have to talk to them. They're there. And that's the bond, and that's the bond everybody can have. It's to know that we're already two in one. It's ourself that has taken ourselves out of that, and we just have to allow ourselves back to that. And very much going forward, I feel that's the way it will. That's the way Spirit are guiding. That's how they're guiding me to help others, and to show that way.
Yeah, thank you so much, Judith. I would, it's not that word. I actually definitely do agree with you on both points. On both those points, that is, we know everybody's different and works in a different way, and I'm the same as yourself, because this is, again, this word always comes in virtually every conversation. It's about acceptance, accepting the way everybody works, to to the point where it's nothing to do with us anyway, because we should be focused on our own pathway journey. But because we're interconnected and it's part of the collective, to a degree it is part of our business. However, that's a totally different frequency of being. In this form, there's beauty in acceptance. There's a beauty. We feel the joy and the bliss and the beauty inside when we truly accept. And of course, this has got to come from within ourselves anyway, like anything else. Yeah, that we accept where we are. So in that spontaneous frequency of that awareness, we accept that everybody's where they are. And I understand totally that one person will say, I do it this way, and another person will go, well, you shouldn't be doing it that way, that's incorrect. Somebody else will go, well, you should be doing no, that's incorrect. And I get that, I understand it. And yet it's incorrect for me. We should be doing it the way we're inspired according to our spiritual guides. Exactly what you've just said. Because the true teachings for me, the true guidance lies in, not in reading books, not in listening to others. Of course they're helpful and they're beneficial. And of course, you know, I've written a book, I write books, but it's all second hand. It's first hand is in here, isn't it? And the second point is, I do believe very strongly that as each day goes by and we expand and continue this expansion, including the ascension process, what's taking place, that we're going to see and experience a total merging with spirit completely. Individually and collectively, humanity and the species as a whole at a certain point. That it's got all the hallmarks of that's where we seem to be going at the moment. Sorry. Just like to ask you, if I may, if your guides in this moment, in this space, if your guides could step forward and offer any form of guidance, or I don't want to use the word advice, even though I said it, any form of inspiration or words, what do you think, or what would they say to people on their path at this moment, Judith? If I may ask you.
Oh, sorry, my fur baby's trying to get in on the action. Apologies.
And take all the time you wish.
A spirit would very much remind you how important you are, that there's no hierarchies in this life, and there's no special chosen ones, that you and each individual are special and chosen, or you wouldn't be here. And each and every one has their own path and purpose, and we might not be like each other in how we work with our guides and how spirit can work with us, but we will work with them in the way we were meant to come here and work. And if we could just learn to trust them like they trust us to guide them, then build that relationship, they would want you to know every single day that you are very special and that you are worthy and that your journey is your journey. And never feel that you have to compare yourself to others. Never feel that others won't accept you because they aren't meant to accept you. They're not. We should never worry about other people. We should prove ourselves to ourselves and to the team that works around us, which is our spirit team. That's the only people we have to prove ourselves to. And spirit would very much want everyone to know that that's all that they ask. They would love to work with us the way we want to work with them, but to be patient and to know that they will always have your best interests at heart, and they will make you shine in ways that you never believed you could.
Beautiful. Very beautiful. Judith, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're just about to say we're going to draw it to a close, but with Chanda, perfect timing, Chanda. If you have this deep connection to spirit, How can we hold the balance between giving the responsible to spirit or to our own decisions? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Any thoughts? Yeah.
when you get to learn and understand work, when you build that relationship with your team, you will know when spirit's talking to you. Because I hear spirit. So spirit love that communication. They love that banter and they love that chat. And so you, as you develop as a medium, you will develop and understand when your guide is talking to you and when it's not your guide and when it's your own thoughts. You have it gets stronger and stronger as you develop. So the balance is, you know, the balance between the physical and the spiritual is very hard, in the sense that everything happens in the spiritual before it manifests into the physical, even if we're not aware of it. But having a normal life, enjoying what you do, go out, be silly, be spontaneous, do whatever you're doing in your physical life, but still come and make time for your guides. When you will, the more the relationship you build with your team, the more you understand when they're working with you and when they're not. It's down to the development and the work that you put in.
Thank you so much. Beautiful question, Chanda. Hope that helps. Thank you, everybody, once again for joining us. And as always, thank you so much again to yourself, Judith. Judith, before we finish, do you want to, for anybody who wants to contact and get in touch with Judith, you can see on the screen it's going up. And you've got a couple of events coming up, Judith, if you could tell us about them.
I have a workshop, Converging with Spirit, on the 17th of May. You can get, it's a free event and it's on Eventbrite. It's also on my Facebook page. And it's really for anybody who's thinking of dipping their toe and opening that awareness. And it's really different ways that we can start to build that relationship and start that converging with spirit in the awareness that we're already, you know, a lot of the time we're not aware that we work with spirit 24/7 and we don't realize that we're doing it. Like, how many times, for instance, Colin, how many times have you went to do a message and it's this predictive text keeps coming up and you're like, oh, stupid predictive. People aren't paying attention. Pay attention to the letters and the words, and like in your predictive, put it into Google and you will knock your socks off that there's a message in it, there's a name, they're directing you to a person or an event or a series. It's just, they're there, they're communicating with us. We just have to reciprocate. But that's the event. It's on the 17th of May. It's to help people become more aware of how spirit work with us. And everybody is very much welcome. I've another charity event. I'm just waiting to finalise the dates I'm doing with the lovely Alice Trevor. She's lovely. She's in Scotland, so we'll be doing some with a charity event with Alice. And also I do Prophetic News podcast. It's on my YouTube channel, where again it's very much everything spirit give full predictions. And then there's always a collective message at the end. So you're very welcome. You'll catch me on my Facebook page, my YouTube, on my website, or LinkedIn, most of the sites.
Thank you so much. So there you are, guys. If you want to get in touch with Judith and attend their events, just go over to platforms and website, etc. For some reason, I've got to ask you this question, final question. And it's not come from my mind. It's been placed in my mind because they just said to me, Colin, ask her about her thoughts on channeling cosmic beings. I
do. I do.
That could be the theme of our next chat then, but please tell us.
So the best way I could explain my take on that is that when I started chatting to you this evening, I said I always was drawn to angels.
Yeah.
And I very much am. But how we see those love and light beings is how we put them and depict them in our head, what way we're comfortable. You know, we see our angels in different ways, and, you know, we have the images of what Archangel Michael, and we have, and Spirit will very much, and Love and Light, they will very much show us ways that we feel comfortable with, that we can recognize them with, and what feels right to us. But we have to remember, a lot of our angels and even some of our guides, they weren't of this world, and they're not of this world. And they talk about the purple area in space, and they talk about the cosmos and the stars and the constellation. And when you hear the Lord's Prayer, as above, so below, the constellations is a map. It's a map of the world. And we talk about the 7-star systems. And gosh, I'd be off on one. I'd be off on one call. But it's a massive, you know, we just don't realize how connected we are to the cosmos and how important our language. We forget the language, and they're teaching me, they're reminding me, but there's an ancient language, and it's to do with the alphabet. And they've been teaching me the meanings of the letters, and they talk about this in ancient. Now they haven't taught me at all yet, but they're very much teaching me the meaning and why it's so important, and what's been forgotten about the alphabet and the ancient signs. And have you not realized, when we look at schools now, they've started doing like the signs yes. in the letter, and how the letter is sounded has a completely different tone, different frequency. Yeah. You know, you know, different, but what they mean. But I have light language guides. You have light language guides. We all have light language guides. We all Brilliant. Have beings from way not of this world, but we have connections to them, and they work with us very strongly. Thank
you so much. Well, we'd love to have you back again, and let's get on to that subject on that occasion. Guys, we're going to fix the date behind the scenes. Lynn, can't wait for the talk. Sounds so interesting. It does, doesn't it, Lynn? Let's bring it on. Once again, thank you. Just a couple of notices, if I may, before we finish. Daily meditations every day, Monday to Friday, with beautiful Pauline Barnfather, 5 o'clock every day. It's just 30 minutes, so it's perfect kind of slot for anybody who wants to get into the nice, calm mindset. And Pauline's absolutely amazing the way she guides that meditation. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Pauline. Sincerely. And then I've got to confess, I haven't hardly been. And at the times I've tried to get on, I've been prevented. So it's like, okay, I'm leaving it. Pauline's just doing it. So that's it. Sunday evening, we've got the lovely Jennifer Rose. Demonstration, I believe it's demonstration or live readings, I'm not sure. But the post will be out. Well, Judith's already Jennifer's already put the post out. So we'll be sharing that very soon. We have got a workshop next month coming up on generating your spiritual guides. Literally similar to what was been speaking. You'll be able to enter into that space. We'll be doing PowerPoint presentations, a full day seminar workshop, explaining a multitude of aspects of guides and etc. And then we'll be doing a couple of meditations where we generate a specific guide and merge and blend with them, etc. We've also got a letting go retreat coming up online. I know some have been previously to it. We just need to fix that date. So that's there planned. And I have to say, finally, interestingly enough, and I'm cautious, but Egypt and the retreat to Egypt is not off the cards. If we can sort that out and arrange it, that will be on. That's definitely going to be on. And on that note, I don't know whether anybody's seen it or heard about it, but if you haven't, check it out. Apparently, they have just discovered about 8 600-meter long cylinders under the pyramids of Giza. and sitting on 4 cylinders, sitting on blocks, and apparently it goes down to about 2 kilometers from the Giza plateau. And it looks like it's appearing that it's an old system used for, and I'm going to stop at that point, used for lots of things. So please have a look around for that. I haven't got the name, we'll post the name, I think. But it's only just been discovered 2 days or 3 days ago, or it's just been released. The information just been released. So looks like the pyramids are just literally the tip of whatever's underneath them. Pardon?
Spirits just said portals. Portals.
Literally, yeah, Judith. It's amazing if it's true, and if they've done it through sound and scans and satellites, and you can, and they've done a bit of a graphics, and you can see these huge 600-meter long cylinders. I mean, 600 meter, and then below that, all of it in one go goes down to 2 kilometers. 2 kilometers, you know, imagine just walking 2 kilometers, turn it vertical, and that's what's below the pyramids. Stunning stuff. If it's true, it's going to be amazing.
Spirit told me 2 months ago, watch the portals that start to be discovered.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
There you go, it's coming. That is what, that's what came to me too, Lynn. She said, okay, Lynn. The thing is, it's coming. Here it is, isn't it? This is the moment, Maria, for a moment. Once again, then, Judith, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. So much. It's been amazing, lovely to listen to you. You made my life so simple because I could just sit back and listen to what you're saying.
When it comes to spiritual, I'm gagged.
No, it's like, let go, let loose. I love it. I love it. I have a tendency to waffle and talk too much anyway. So, like, yes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, as always, to our beautiful guides, all of our guides, to Judith's and all yours, and bringing your light into this space and making it what it is during this session.
Thank you, Simon.
We've got more conversations and debates and chats to come. So great stuff. So on behalf of Ava, thank you, Ava, for working behind the scenes as she does. To Judith, thank you, and have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are in the world, and may the light shine lots of love onto you all. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Pauline. And we'll see you all very soon. Thank you from Menorca Consciousness Group and Etheric Web. Great stuff. Thank you, Judith.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.